And here we are.
Alvin just straight up mutes himself as we go to record.
I guess welcome everybody. This is Power Play, the collab between Jocks of all trades and AfroLatinos.
No, come on, no. We're not about to start this like that, Brad. You're gonna have to put some pep in that intro, bro. You're gonna have to put some love. This is the first episode, and that's hello and welcome to Power Play Collaborate. Man, if you don't get some energy,
to his other shows, it's pretty much the same.
You need to put the love into it, like I do with random fandom.
You gotta put it somewhere between your intro for all of your shows and my intro for all of ours.
I'm starting
somewhere in the middle, and
I'm starting over.
Make it made.
No, don't start over.
No, Brian,
now we've just made the intro entertaining.
This is what you call a cold open.
Cold open. Everybody cold to me right now.
You leave this. This is great content for the people.
Y'all are killing me. Fine.
Yeah, no. People dig when you just stick around and roast each other.
Mm-hmm. Hold up. Welcome to Power Play, the collaborative podcast between Jocks of all trades and AfroLatinos.
That was much better. That was a great voice. I want to hear like that. I mean, maybe not with the creepy the creepy face while you was doing it.
That was basically if Lord Farquaad was on radio.
1920s newscaster.
That's enough to be in the Courtney Collins show.
Facts.
There you go.
I'll take it.
I've watched that at least like 3 or 4 times this past week. I don't know why.
Hairspray.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotta love Hairspray.
Well, we've got a show.
Do we?
It's a cold open, Luke. We're not supposed to do anything.
Oh, yeah. we're still doing this. Okay.
Once it starts to dull down, it's like, all right, and we're here.
Either it starts to dull down, or we just all right. Well,
Brad, you need to let this man run the show.
I never said I wanted to run the show.
Cheney, go ahead, bro.
I'm good. I don't even run that show. Don't let toss me into this one.
I'm just that's why I'm not,
I give a damn.
All right.
Introduce what you're eating. It's just,
Well, fine. I'll do
these. Here, all right. Here's how. So you go ahead and introduce the show, right? This is Power Play. Blah 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 blah. Then you go, and we are Jocks of all trades. Boom and boom, and then I'll say we're the AfroLatinos. Boom and boom, and then we'll start the show.
That'll work. All right.
All this audio stays in, by the way. When you post it, all this audio stays in.
Yes, all of it stays in.
Listen, because if you don't keep it, we're keeping it for us on our stuff when we release it, so it's okay.
It's going out anyways. It's a warning.
Fine.
We're being authentic, Brad. We're being authentic.
That's right.
Don't like it.
You heard it here first, folks. Brad doesn't like being authentic.
But anyhow, welcome to Power Play. This is the first collaboration between Jocks of all trades and AfroLatinos. We've talked about it forever. We're finally doing it. And you've heard us all talk about wacky sports stuff, and now we're finally going to do it and really dive in. If you followed us before, I am Brad of Jocks of all trades, and below me is Luke from Jocks of all trades. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can hear us talk fantasy football, all kinds of random sports, and then catch us on Friday to talk about anything and everything. Aubin?
And we are the AfroLatinos. This is your co-host, Aubin.
And your co-host, Chandler.
And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and Twitch. We have 2 shows every week. We have You Think You Know on Monday nights, which is a trivia show. And then Saturday nights, the flagship AfroLatinos podcast, which is basically about just about everything that we can talk about, from race to ethnicity to random life stuff. And now Power Play. We're excited to be here. We're excited to do this collab. A new weekly show, one that I think we're going to enjoy a lot. So welcome to the first episode of Power Play.
So because this is kind of our first shot at everything, I like to write stuff. I like to have little intros and outros and stuff. I wrote, hit me with it. So hit me with it is going to entail our hot takes, debates. We are not doing LeBron and Michael yet. We ain't got everybody here. Once we have everybody here, we can do that craziness, but we're not doing that right now. I wrote some stuff, but is there anything that anybody's just feeling like a hot take on how you feel about something this week? What do you want to talk about? I have some stuff, but I'm not going to start.
Oklahoma doesn't belong in the top 5.
Frankly, I don't give a damn. No, I don't have it. And they do belong in the top 5. They're 7-0.
Okay, actually, I think aren't they 8-0 now?
They're
undefeated. How many ranked ones do they have?
We're gonna look this up right now.
At least 2. Let me see.
Oklahoma somehow, and it makes sense that Oklahoma's coming to the SEC because Alabama only gets 2 ranked games a year, and then they get to be the best team that ever existed in college football because they play University of Birmingham and they play Mobile High School, and they play nobodies all year long, and then manage to get Ole Miss or Florida once a year. Maybe they have to play Georgia, and then they end up beating Georgia, which is the one time they actually get a good win in the season, and it's like, oh, see, Alabama's the greatest. But
you putting LSU out there too?
No, LSU's been trash.
LSU's always trash.
No, don't do that. We just won. We just won 2 years
ago.
We won
2 years ago.
When was the last time Alabama won?
Last year?
Chill. Don't bring it up.
Yeah, okay. Asterisk year doesn't count.
Yeah, that was the
coming from the Big Ten that always falls apart in big moments. I don't want to hear it.
That was a Mickey Mouse championship, bro. You didn't even deserve that.
But was it? Because Ohio State was supposed to be the dog that got us.
Nobody will know Ohio State. They might think that.
Nobody actually knows he's going to lie to him.
Nobody actually thought that Ohio State was going to win that game. Not even lose.
Okay.
You just
had
to
admit that Alabama's the best team.
No, they're just the best team at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
They were the best team at the moment.
Who would you have put in there against Alabama?
LSU.
Yeah. How did that go last time we played for a natty?
Coastal Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you want me to put good
UCF.
Good teams? Yeah, but Alabama's not used to playing good teams, so I was just trying to give you bad teams to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Don't play good teams. All right.
I was gonna say.
Well, to be honest, you did just struggle a little bit with Tennessee.
Yet. Oh my God! 28 points is not a struggle against a 4-3 team. Meanwhile, you're going away to play a 2-4 team, and you're better.
Yeah, we are. Because we don't lose to unranked teams.
Yeah. Okay, but you still lose, and you struggled with Tulsa. You struggled with Akron. I don't struggle with baby schools, but Ohio State does.
Yeah, because you don't play baby schools. You play
We play tough schools.
You play infants. You play Little Sisters of the Poor.
Oh, I forgot. 12th ranked Ole Miss is Little Sisters of the Poor. I forgot that playing against A&M, who's ranked.
No.
Everyone's expecting
that's your one good win. Well done. And meanwhile, we're going to run the gambit throughout the whole month of November.
Nope. I ain't doing this on a podcast because you're wrong.
I forgot everyone thought that Ole Miss was going to win the championship this year. You really going to flex Ole Miss as a great win? That's what we're doing now?
They've lost one game to us. I forgot. Everybody has to say that Alabama doesn't play anybody to feel better when their teams get smacked and we win every year.
To be honest, if we say that just because we hear all the freaking time that, the SEC is so much tougher than everybody else. And we're like, no, you're right with us.
Pardon. Sometimes. I'm just gonna interrupt real quick. Just take a listen. Miami. It's a good win. Mercer.
Okay.
Florida. That's a good win.
Okay.
USM. Who is USM?
Southern Mississippi. I already know.
No. Who is USM? Exactly. Ole Miss, that's a So we got 3. Texas A&M, y'all lost to an unranked Texas A&M.
That was
Mississippi.
ranked.
The next team, Mississippi State. The next team, Tennessee. Then y'all play LSU. Then you play NMSU. Who is NMSU?
See, but why do y'all do this to Alabama, but you don't do this to anybody else?
NMSU? Because other people play people.
You don't. You lost it. Hold up. Shut up. Give me 1 second. Shut up. You lost to unranked UCLA. You beat McNeese. You know who McNeese is? I don't. Central Michigan. Don't know them either. You barely beat Mississippi State, who we took to the woodshed and didn't score a touchdown against us. You lost to Auburn. Don't even tell me Auburn is better than you. You should be better than Auburn. You lost to Kentucky. That right there should stop the whole conversation.
See, but here's
you almost lost to Florida.
No,
you lost to Ole Miss.
Here's the difference, though. Here's what you're not understanding. I am able to say LSU doesn't play anybody and they're not good. But you cannot say Alabama doesn't play anybody because you're just going to point out those 3 games where they actually play somebody and that's it.
But that's still playing somebody.
I wish
that's
I
what
had.
I don't understand about analysts. That's what I don't understand about fans. What would be a game to you? Literally, what would be a game to you?
Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I am willing to say. If the rest of us outside of the SEC could stop hearing about how much stronger the SEC is compared to everyone else, we wouldn't be making these arguments.
No, but they're not wrong, though.
The Big Ten East is the best division in college football.
We're talking about a conference, not the division. We're talking about a conference.
Well, the Big Ten, well, then in that case, the Big Ten is just as good as the SEC.
Oh, hold on. Auburn, let's play the same game. Let's play the same game we played with Alabama and LSU with Ohio State. I just want you to hear what I have to listen to and then say it's crap. You almost lost to Minnesota. You shouldn't even be remotely close to Minnesota. You got whooped by Oregon at home.
Lose to Minnesota.
An Oregon team that is not good. You struggled against Tulsa. You struggled with Akron early. You played Rutgers, Maryland, and Indiana. How am I supposed to say that you played a hard schedule?
Okay. For the record, Ohio State beat Minnesota by 14 points. At Minnesota in the rain. Yes, we lost to Oregon. However, Oregon still only has, I think, one Pac-12 loss. Let me
Pac-12 is trash.
check. Let me quickly check.
The Pac-12 is trash. I don't want to hear you bragging about the.
They only have one loss. Okay, they only have one loss thus far. So then you go back to, then we played Tulsa, Akron, Rutgers, Maryland, and Indiana.
None of those are hard.
Yeah, correct. But then look at the other half of our schedule. Penn State, Nebraska, Purdue, Michigan State, and Michigan. So Penn State, Michigan State, and Michigan are 1,000 times better than what will be your best wins.
After that 9 overtime that Penn State just went to, they're not considered anything.
Oh, you mean Penn State that beat Auburn?
Potatoes, tomatoes, man.
I'm just saying, you compare the wins that Ohio State would have if they went out to Alabama's if they went out, and it's again, like Brad said, tomato.
That's my point. So then why are all of y'all hyping on Alabama sucking for losing one game and I can't control how the other teams play. I can't control the scheduling. I just sit there.
So, but look,
but when you play 3 weak teams in your division in a row, which we do too, we played Mississippi State and Tennessee. Yeah, they're not easy. They're not hard wins. They're really not. But how is it different for Alabama than it is from somebody else? Let's do it with Oklahoma. Maybe my point will hit home then.
Hold on.
Oklahoma, of course, will hit home.
Give me a second. Go ahead, Cheney. You was gonna say something, and then I got something to say, and then Brad, go ahead.
I was just gonna say because we keep doing that to Alabama, obviously, because they're always there. They're always good. And then we say that they play nobody. But let's be honest. Like, Oklahoma played – and just every team, like, we say LSU played just poopy teams in the beginning of the season. Oklahoma plays Nebraska is all right. West Virginia, Kansas State, TCU, WCU, who in the beginning, everyone, I just feel like everyone plays like okay teams in the beginning. So it's like that nobody really plays anybody ever until like the end of the season. Like that's when we play Baylor, who's ranked. We play Iowa State, who's ranked. We play Oklahoma State, who's ranked. And it's like obviously, I feel like every team starts off with like the teams, just like any teams, and they just happen to get wins. And then towards the end of the season, it's when the game starts, basically.
Yeah.
So like we can't like yes, we're like 7-0, 8-0, or whatever, but like we have no ranked wins. Not until we play Baylor in like 2 weeks. So really, yes, we deserve to be top 4 right now, but like we haven't played anybody ranked, so that's when it really matters. If we beat Baylor, if we beat Iowa State, it's like, well, we beat ranked teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how you know.
I do agree with you, Channy, to a point. However, you do also have to look at how you got those wins, how Oklahoma got those wins, and it just is a little sus. I mean, look at the final scores. You beat Tulane by 5 points at the beginning of the season. Then you played WCU and you did great. You beat Nebraska by 7. Unranked Nebraska. You beat unranked West Virginia by 3. You beat unranked Kansas State by 6. Was Texas ranked at the time when you played them? Yeah, they're unranked now, and you only beat them by 7. TCU, you actually kind of played well against. You beat them by 21. But then you beat Kansas only by 12, and you needed and I'm going to say this, and this could be controversial here with at least one person here, a brilliant play by Caleb Williams to actually steal that game against Kansas. So
hold on.
I'm just looking at it. I'm going, yes, you're 8-0, but eye test is not good right now.
But if we're really going by just like the way you're playing, then no team deserves to be up there, because if you get a win, but you just happen to win by a field goal, then apparently that's just not good enough, because it's not a good enough win. That's basically what I'm hearing. No matter how you win, it's just like you beat like okay at best team by 3, but it's just what happens. But you win.
But listen, that's what the committee does every year. It doesn't matter if you're undefeated. They may look at you and say, well, that 2-loss team looks better than Oklahoma, who barely, you know what I mean? Like, they'll do that. That's what's crappy.
Yeah.
Now, here's my problem with that is exactly how Luke said it. It should not matter if the team is unranked later that you played. If you played a ranked team, you played a ranked team. Otherwise, who cares about your schedule? Then you don't play anybody. You're right. But if they're ranked when you play them and you beat a ranked opponent, that should matter. I can't control that Miami was bad, even though we scheduled that game 5 years ago. Like, how was I supposed to know Miami was going to suck this year? Like, you see what I mean? It's so subjective. Like, if you played a ranked game, you played a ranked game. I'll leave it at that. I don't care if they're not ranked later. You played it then. That was a hard game then, and you beat it.
The thing is, you also have to apply that same reasoning the other way around.
Oh, I agree.
For example, you don't get to claim that Texas A&M, you lost to a good Texas A&M team when they were unranked when you played them. And Ohio State, no matter what Oregon does for the rest of the season, they were ranked whatever they were when we lost to them, when Ohio State lost to them.
Oh, I've never taken that from them. I think Oregon is sus, but I've never taken it that it was not a ranked game.
So I look at those and I go, okay, we just have to make sure we're applying it both ways.
Oh yeah,
which I'm personally fine with. I do think there is value in looking at what the teams do afterwards, because I believe that is also a thing that the committee does. They don't just say, this team did this in week 2 and that's who they are. No, they do take into account what the teams do afterwards. So I'm sure that depending on what Texas A&M turns out to do, that what might make your loss look better. Depending on what Oregon does later, that might make our loss look worse. So it's I do think the committee tries to take both into account a little bit.
Yeah, it's just very subjective. It's so subjective.
I'm looking at the Ohio State their games, and I think people do have a point, or you guys as well, on Ohio State probably being top 4 over Oklahoma, because they're playing like Maryland and they're winning 66-17. Rutgers 52-13. Ohio they beat Akron 59-7. Tulsa 41-20, and it's like we played unranked teams and barely got by. And Ohio State is doing to unranked teams what you should
be doing. Yep.
That's what I'm getting at. Here's the thing. Just like what the committee does is they look at the team's body of work. It's like, you lost to Oregon. They were ranked at the time, but let's say they lose. Let's say instead of winning out, they lose out. That loss is going to look supremely bad on our resume. Right. But here's the thing. The committee knows that a team can change. Ohio State of week 2 is nowhere near the same team that Ohio State is now. We've basically, except in name only, changed defensive coordinators. There's been a whole defensive change scheme. You could argue, when I was watching in week 1, the Minnesota game, I could see that CJ Stroud was trying to cradle that shoulder. So you could argue that he was hurt, and that's why Ryan Day took him out, I believe, of the Akron game. Did not start him, did not even play him for that game. CJ comes back against Rutgers, and it's just been – the offense has just been a machine. A ton of people, a ton of credible analysts are right now calling Ohio State the best offense in college football right now, above anybody else. So I look at that and I go, okay, you have to take into account where a team is currently when you're ranking these things and not just say, oh, well, they have this one wacky loss way back in week 2. If the committee continued to do that, 2014 Ohio State would not have happened. And I will say the similarities between 2014 and now are starting to look eerily similar.
Now, I just want to address something that is a blasphemous statement. The Big Ten is not better than the SEC. Or the Big 12, whatever the name of your conference is. If we just want to look at analytics, let's just look at the eye test tells everything, but let me just put it like this. Let's just look at the numbers. I'm going to be objective, right? The Big Ten has 5 teams in the top 25. The SEC has 6. The SEC is a better conference.
Okay, let me take a look.
It's just
where are those? Let me pull up the top 25 real quick.
Don't worry. I got you. Let me hit you with it.
Okay.
Here we go. Here's your Big 12 or your Big 10. Michigan 6, Michigan State 8, Ohio State 5, and then Penn State
20,
and Iowa 9. So you have 4 out of the top 10, which that's a good number. Then you got Penn State, who is Penn State and just lost to Illinois in 9 overtimes, and you have Iowa. And in the SEC, you have Georgia, obviously the number 1 team in the nation. Alabama, the number 3 team in the nation. Kentucky, who's at 12. Ole Miss, who's at 10. And Auburn at 18. And Texas A&M at 14. So
okay.
three in the top 10 in the SEC. You have 4 in the top 10 in the Big Ten, but who knows what that's going to look like when the official ranking comes out tomorrow. And does Ole Miss stay in 10? Do they, some of these teams are probably going to be moving around when the official ranking comes out.
Well, the actual committee rankings don't come out until a week after Tuesday.
All right, yeah.
It's after the October 30 slate of games that the first committee rankings will come out the following Tuesday.
And if we're going to look at, so I already know where you're going to go, right? But I'm going to put it this way. If we're going college football playoffs, only 4 teams go to the football playoffs. The SEC is the only one who has teams out of the 2 of them going to the playoffs right now. Alabama and Georgia.
AP rankings.
Of the AP rankings, Georgia and Alabama are the only ones that are going in there. because in the Big Ten, you're not putting Michigan in there. You're not putting Michigan State. You're not putting Penn State. You're not putting Iowa. The only team that has a chance at being in there is Ohio State, and someone else has to lose for that to happen. Oklahoma's got to catch an L for that to happen. So SEC is objective. I'm trying to be as objective as possible because my team is trash, so I can't say anything about LSU right now. I'm trying to stay objective and say if you look at just the rankings, just the numbers, the SEC is a better conference right now. And always,
okay, according to AP rankings, that's what you're basing that off.
Which is all we can.
Which is all we have right now. I agree with you. Number one, I would argue quality versus quantity. You said it yourself. The SEC only has 3 top 10 teams in those AP rankings right now. The Big Ten has 4. So it just becomes a matter of, okay, well, you look at teams 15 through 25, no, 11 through 25, and the SEC has more sprinkled throughout there. So that tells me, okay, there's a bit of a quantity versus quality thing going on between the two conferences. Number 2, you have to take into account that ESPN, with owning the SEC network, creates a ton of SEC bias within those rankings. If ESPN owned like the Big Ten network, rights to televise those, I think you'd see a very, very different story. You'd see them pushing the Big Ten just as much as they do the SEC and the ACC and some of those other things. So that's always a modicum of bias that you have to account for when you're taking into account, okay, trying to determine which conference is better.
What's the next topic, Chris? We're not going to get nowhere with this one.
No, I already knew that before you started. That's why I just shut up. Let's hit one that's a little
has nothing to do with this.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I was definitely right when I said it is a bad day to be a Falcons fan because the Dolphins are about to score again and then take the lead. So after being down like 20 to like 7 or something like that.
Ouch.
So
do y'all want to talk about the Lakers or the Sixers? It is up to you.
Well, who gives a damn about the Sixers?
Nobody cares about either of them, to be honest, right now. But
it's actually kind of sad, but I think people are kind of.
Did you hear what Ben Simmons said just recently?
Oh, yeah, no, this is so
I
dumb.
have to say it if y'all haven't heard it. His direct quote, I just feel like the Sixers haven't put me in the right situation. Giannis just won finals MVP without a jumper. I could produce at that level in a new environment that didn't cater to a guy like Joel so much. I know he's not serious. I know he is not serious. I know he's not. At least Giannis can score. Like,
yeah, he better not be comparing himself to Giannis.
And he's blaming Joel. Not the Joel that's a monster Joel. Not that Joel.
Didn't Joel say like a
and Joel went to bat for you, man.
I don't know what y'all think. Is he out of his mind?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's just right now he's just trying to talk himself into a contract somewhere else, but he's just not going to get it.
No.
He's just trying to get he's trying to get traded, but I honestly don't even know what team in their right mind would take him because his behavior is cancerous in the locker room right now, especially. What team wants that kind of distraction? You know what I mean? It's just like, man, if I'm a GM, I don't want him. I'm not taking him.
Right.
And especially here's my thing, right? So I think a lot of it is in his head. Like Jason Kelsey was saying, like, all you got to do is just be better. And the fan base will like Philly's a tough place to be.
Yeah,
it's not a big market, but it's not a small market in terms of the fan base. And they're some of the most vicious fans in the history of the sport of basketball, in the history of sports, period. It's a rough place to play. And so I'm like, maybe it's all in his head because we've seen some success from people like Lonzo. We were talking about this last night on our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lonzo went from not being able to shoot at all on the Lakers and having the ugliest jump shot in the world to going to New Orleans and starting putting up threes like crazy. And now in Chicago, he's balling out. It's amazing what happens. And look at Julius Randle. You look at D'Angelo Russell when he left the Lakers. You look at all these players. Some of these players are just don't know how to function in a big market like that, and so they turn into conduct detrimental to the team. And maybe we'll see a different player when he's in a new position. But until that happens, I don't know who's going to make that trade. It's got to be a small market team. He's going to mess around and end up in Sacramento. Buddy
I knew
Hield,
that shit was over.
Buddy Hield's going to end up being in whatchamacallit, and he's going to be there too. So I'm just like,
I knew that Ben Simmons shit was over once. They were playing Atlanta, and the only person that was right next to him was Trae Young, and he passed the ball.
That
was it for Ben Simmons.
6'8", 200 some odd pound point guard is going to pass up because he's afraid to take it up on Trae Young.
On like a 5'9" point guard.
Lollipop head.
Like a lollipop.
The man is 6'10".
What kills me is exactly what you said with Lonzo. Lonzo could have blamed everybody around him. Could have blamed being on the Lakers. Could have blamed the people that helped him develop his shot. Could have thrown everybody under the bus. But instead of doing that, he worked on his shot and got better. Simmons, I don't like because he's blaming everybody except for himself.
It's making it seem like he's doing like everything, not right, but like he's like this big baller who sees so much potential, and they're not letting him when there's like nothing to be shown.
They gave this man Jimmy Butler, they gave this man Tobias Harris, they gave him everything so he didn't have to do it all.
JJ Redick, a great shooter,
and then he still couldn't do anything with it. You have some of the best scorers, the best defense. You got great players in the NBA for all intents and purposes, and then all of a sudden you just want to act like you don't know how to play, and that it's their fault. And you see, it was clearly not Jimmy Butler's fault. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying like it's not any of that guy's fault that you didn't succeed because they all left you, and then all of a sudden they're turning into great players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Butler leaves and he goes to Miami. They build a team in Miami and they go to the finals.
Here's what really makes me mad about that too. He's now saying it's mental health problems and he wasn't ready to play the season. Dude, you weren't ready to play the season before you ever showed up. You had no intention on coming in there and playing. I don't want to hear you blame it on mental health. You are fine. You just don't want to play for the Sixers. Quit lying. Like that really bugs me, being somebody that's got mental health issues. Like, don't you blame it on that. Just admit that you don't want to be there and that you're a loser. Just go ahead and call it, Ben Simmons. Like, I don't want you blaming that for the reason that you've been acting weird and doing all this stuff. No, you just didn't want to be in Philly. Like, I'm done with Ben Simmons. I'm done with that man. Personally, I'm just done with it. I don't even care if he touches the basketball ever again. I'm done with it.
I don't care if he breaks his elbow.
Yep.
I broke my elbow.
I know the meme. Good reference.
I did break my elbow. I don't know what you. Oh, off topic. The Ravens are losing 41-17, by the way.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow. I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
and Joe Mixon. I'm pretty sure it was Mixon, but he like, he had a long ass run for a touchdown. Like, just went right through. So.
Oof. I'll tell you what. Like, I've given Burrow crap all season because he went to the front office and said, "I want a receiver, not an O lineman," but it's working. Like, I don't know how it's working, but it's working.
Yeah, because the receiver that he got was probably one of the best in the draft class.
Jamar
Chase. I will say he was making me kind of nervous before the regular season, like during the preseason.
He hit him with the Allen Iverson though. He was talking. He's like, the preseason. This is practice, bro. You talking about practice?
Yeah, no, but he was also talking about, it's kind of hard to see the ball when, because in college they put the white stripes on the ends of the ball, but in the NFL they don't have the stripes. And I'm sitting there going, Oh, Joe, what have
seen
you
that.
done?
But
That
That
was
boy
probably
Kyle
the
Pitts
best
is a
bowl
demon.
game.
it worked.
It's a good thing I have
Honestly.
him. Well, I want to see. I don't really care for the Falcons or the Dolphins. I kind of wanted to see the Dolphins win because the Falcons are bound to lose once they're up by a lot. But Kyle Pitts is something else, and I also have him on my fantasy team. So
Yeah. Kyle Pitts is really doing it.
But it took him a while. His first couple games, he was not doing nothing. I was about to drop.
Yeah.
I was about to drop him on fantasy.
I was absolutely not dropping him. I have high expectations from my boy.
I mean, yeah, I have high expectations too. The problem was he wasn't living up to them, so he had to go. He was gone, in my opinion. But hey, he's bringing it in. He's doing his thing.
What else we got?
There you go.
Yeah, let me look. I'm gonna skip the rest to hit me with it. So I'm gonna introduce it, but I don't know if we're doing it this week. Alvin had kind of brought an idea. Actually, Shaylin brought an idea that we should do the name of the show Power Play and bring in our favorite play of the week and talk about it. I know not everybody has one, but I know everybody's going to agree on one. Listen, Lonzo throwing up that alley-oop to Alex Caruso, that was nice. That was something else. I liked seeing the Bulls actually put on a show. Like,
Yeah.
I have one. I have one for the week.
we got
That John Morant dunk.
Oof. When they put him, you seen the meme when you seen the thing where they put him like Odell Beckham. There was like
No.
number 13 and had Odell Beckham, his catch.
Yeah.
So they had it superimposed like he was OBJ because the way he brought it back, like he was catching it like OBJ.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
Nasty.
It was
Yeah.
absolute fire.
Something else, yeah.
My
He
favorite
is a
player,
nasty
bro.
dunker. He's
My favorite
nasty.
player, not named LeBron James. I'm telling you right
That's
now.
crazy. It's like
John
to be
Morant?
like that. I mean,
Oh,
we've seen it
absolutely.
before.
Dang.
We've
That's
seen it
awesome.
before with Westbrook as a point guard just dunking like crazy like that. But like a point guard just like that. That's so crazy to me.
I mean, there's a lot of point guards that are like that, but none of them like
Nobody
that.
is
You know what I'm
Morant.
saying?
No.
None of them like that.
They're not
Like,
throwing it down. They're not throwing it down like that.
Yeah.
and it's
No.
crazy.
I have opinions about college football and how they're ranking teams right now. But if it happened for Ohio State, I'd be like, this is the sickest play ever. So I have to give it props. Caleb Williams stripping his own player and running it for a first down on a fourth down play that would have given Kansas the ball back and potentially a chance to win.
I thought it was
I'm
illegal.
sorry. That's just
technically
smart
illegal.
play.
When I
thought
first saw it,
at
I was
first
like,
when I first saw it, I'm like, is that illegal? Is that legal? Like, are you allowed to do
Yeah,
that?
no. It's
I was
like,
like, shit,
first
we got
thing
the
the
first
forward
down,
pass.
like-
It's like, they can't do that. Oh, wait, they can?
It's
Dad,
like
dumbass.
it wasn't a pass. Like he just took it. So it's kind of like a handoff, but like a fumble type thing. So I was
It's like-
I'm so confused.
it reminded me of Lamar. It's like what Lamar does to every running back. He's like, no, I'm going to take it. Give me this.
Yeah.
You're
He's
not
like,
getting
oh,
anywhere.
you go.
Just give it
It's
to
like,
me. It's
oh,
fine.
you going down. Let me help you out, bro.
I've never, ever, ever seen anything like that.
And you probably won't ever see it again.
No. I don't know if it was smart or if it was like
I love how Lincoln Riley is like, oh, yeah, we practiced that. And I'm like,
did you?
really?
It's a
It just-
lateral if you think about it.
Really?
It just casually happens all the time. Just take the ball. Not going anywhere.
Practice nothing. I don't want to hear it. We practice that. Yeah, okay.
Hey, you never know. I believe in Lincoln Riley. I just hope that he stays exactly where he is and that he never ends up coaching the Dallas Cowboys like it's expected.
I don't know what I would think about that combination.
I would probably cry.
I think
Ooh.
Chaney would die.
They might turn into a competent offense.
Ouch.
I mean, obviously they're showing that they can be a competent offense right now because
I mean, Dak, man.
Dak, with Dak as the QB, but I was really hoping they would really suck. But I guess it's a good thing is if they stay playing well, there's no real reason to get rid of Mike McCarthy, and then they can just be average at best and never win anything. That's my thought process there.
Right.
That's the exact same philosophy I have about Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Poor Jim Harbaugh, bro.
All right. What's next on the agenda, Mr. Bradley?
Hang on. I had to change something real quick.
Of course you did.
It's
Oh my.
it's hot shots. So I wanted hot shots to be whenever we put together like who had a smooth game in the NBA, or did somebody do something really cool in the NFL, like go for like 200 yards receiving, or baseball even, or like whatever y'all want to talk about that was just like wow, like one play that, or like not one play, but like something that really stood out. I guess that's turned into power play at this point, so I'm gonna kill hot shots. Hot shots ain't gonna happen. You said we can edit stuff in here.
However, shout out to the Braves for making the World Series for the first time in
Since
22
'99.
years. So shout out to the Braves. In my opinion, it was the best outcome because nobody really wants to see the Dodgers in it again. To be fair, I didn't want to see the Red Sox or the Astros. And I guess as a Yankee fan, I have to take the lesser of two evils, even though the Astros cheated the Yankees out of a championship.
So you'd rather see the Astros than the Red Sox just because you're, what do they call it, salty?
Here's the thing, Cheney. To be honest with you, I'm not sure which one I would rather see. If I'm gonna be honest with you, it hurt either way because I'm like, man, Yankees Red Sox. That's the time old, that's the age old rivalry there, and I can't get down with that. But on the same token, I'm like, man, the Astros cheated the Yankees out of a championship. I can't get down with that. But I can't bring myself as a self-respecting Yankees fan to ever in my life root for the Red Sox. So I'm gonna have to do it and give it to them when I can.
Wait, so when we were talking about the beginning of the baseball season, was it you guys that we were discussing?
No, it was the two of us in Austin. It was the two of us in Austin.
We discussed that, and I was saying, well, the Red Sox are probably going to be at the end like last year, so we're not expecting anything, and we made it to the
Definitely.
ALCS.
You were definitely supposed to be the second weakest in the division.
We were not supposed to be.
You exceeded all expectations.
So I'm happy with that. Hey, we got far. We couldn't get past the Astros, and that's shit happens sometimes. But
there's a reason they clearly cheating did not do them that much better than they didn't really need it because
they're definitely cheating out the ass with the way they
made
home runs.
3 out of the last 5 World Series, so clearly they didn't need it that badly.
They were hitting
baseball
grand slams at Fenway in that shit was crazy.
Yes.
I'm rooting for Atlanta also, just so because when I think of Atlanta, I think, oh, that poor city. They need something to wash that Super Bowl out of their mouth.
Well,
all I can think of is Chipper Jones.
And the Eagles scored now.
Yep, touchdown.
But I kind of want the Braves to win as well, just because it's been 22 years since they were in the World Series.
22 years.
And I don't want the Astros to win because F the Astros. So.
Nothing will make. See, here's the thing. Nothing will make me happier than allowing. See, Cheney. Here's what takes the sting out of it a little bit. The Astros winning and the Boston Red Sox losing. The only thing that makes it better is the Astros losing in the World Series. Like them losing to the Nationals a couple of years ago, like that felt great. Them getting there is fine as long as they lose.
But not fine. I would
to fully crush your opponent's hopes, you must first raise them very high.
Yes. I was about to say I'm gonna have to go in a second, but my computer charger is here now, so we're good.
That's great.
Oh, hooray!
Shut up, Tim. I was at 4%. I'm watching the timer. I'm like 4%. I'm never gonna make it. Thank you to my lovely wife who brought me the charger. Because my dog ate my other one, so we're only down to one.
Does anyone have an Are You For Real this week? We kind of already talked about mine, so I don't have to talk about mine.
I feel like we did just a huge Are You For Real segment at the beginning of the show when we were talking about the rankings.
I'm cool with it.
I can't think of it. Are you for real around now? So,
Alvin?
I will say the one thing is it's less an "Are you for real?" and more a "Ha ha, I laugh at you." The NCAA trying to make it that we don't like how long games can go when they get to overtime. We're going to try these newfangled overtime rules. And it results in the longest overtime game ever.
What were the new rules?
The new rules are, I think it's like after the second or third overtime, it's basically teams alternating chances at 2-point conversions.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So you don't start at the 25. You don't have to start at the 5 and try to get a touchdown. You literally just do 2-point conversions over and over again.
So if you mess up on the 1-2-point conversion, that's it. That was it. And then it goes to the next team. You don't get 4 downs. You don't get 4 tries. That's it.
It's definitely an interesting concept. I don't hate the idea.
I mean, I think people were hating on it on Twitter and on social media because the game went so long. It's like 9 overtimes. I think it was the longest college football game ever. But I just go, you know what? It was made so that the games could be shorter, which could potentially happen. You just happen to have 9. Plus, it still keeps the fairness intact because each team gets a shot. You don't have like NFL rules where it's like, oh, you scored a touchdown in your first drive, I guess you win, which is absolute bullcrap. I hate NFL overtime rules. But
I like that one. That one doesn't bother me at all.
It's like you couldn't stop them. That seems like your fault.
Couldn't stop them. That's not. Why does that got to do with me? You know.
Well, the thing is, half of your team didn't get to play, and the half of the other team wasn't tested. What happens if we could have scored a touchdown on them and didn't see them drive? You'll never know.
Luke,
you had
we
4 quarters.
We do know because you had 4 exactly. You had 4 quarters to decide that. If after that
then
4
it just
quarters,
comes down to a coin toss.
Exactly. The better team will win. If your defense is that good,
according to a coin toss.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I can't get down with that. I think college overtime rules are so much better because it gives each unit on a team a chance to show themselves and prove themselves. Not just, luck of a coin flip.
It goes into a 9 overtime like it just did.
Then let it. I would much rather have that than have, we were the defensive unit of the team that won the coin toss, and we never even had to play. It was fine.
Well, no,
we might stop because we might have let him score.
Here's the thing. If you stop them to a field goal, which you should be able to do as a competent defense in the NFL, if you hold them to a field goal, you get a chance. Your offense gets a chance. So be good enough to stop them on defense to keep them to a field goal. If you give up a touchdown in overtime, you deserve to lose the game. If
you
your
give up a
defense is good
touchdown in
enough to stop a
overtime,
field goal, cool. Then your offense gets a chance. But if you giving up after 4 quarters of football, your defense isn't good enough to stop another team from scoring in overtime, you deserve to lose the game. Point blank, period.
If you give up a touchdown on overtime, there's obviously a reason you're on overtime. It's because your defense was not pulling through the whole game.
Well, I guess, if that's the case, then it's literally the coin toss that decides the winner.
No.
Some good defensive teams will stop
defense that decides who's the winner. It has nothing to do with. There's nothing. I mean, at the beginning of the game, the defense, you know what I'm saying? The coin toss decides a lot. There's a lot of strategy that goes into the coin toss at the beginning, and that's at the beginning of the game. But you have 4 quarters to figure that out.
Let's talk about this. You have the Wake Forest Army game, which was had absolutely no defense whatsoever. Let's say hypothetically that game went into overtime. You have both teams with horrible defenses and really, really good offenses. How can you not argue that the coin toss basically will decide the game?
At the end of the day, Luke, your defense decides the game, point blank and period. If your defense isn't good enough, it doesn't. I mean, if your defense is good enough, the coin toss doesn't matter because you're going to get them. You're going to stop them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Why is it that, let's say, Team A and Team B, why does Team A's defense have to prove itself, but Team B's doesn't?
Because you had 4 quarters for Team A or Team B's defense to prove that they were good enough to win the game.
So Team A and
Now
Team
you're
B's
just giving them an
defenses
extra.
have to prove themselves through four quarters.
So
but
what you're saying
only
is
Team A's has to prove himself during overtime.
So here's what I'm saying, right? You're professional athletes. Unless you won the game, would you prefer it to just end in a tie? Period. Like if they're not good enough, let's just end the game in a tie. I mean, this is if you can't win a game in 4 quarters. Overtime doesn't. I mean, in the NBA, it's the same thing. I mean, you win the tip off in the NBA. It's a 50-50 shot. If you get
because it's a clock that goes down, and there's enough going back and forth.
It's a shorter overtime period than a normal period. Your defense has to play. It's the same. It's the same concept. You still have to be good enough. If you win the tip in overtime, you get the first chance at going up.
But winning the tip actually has to do with some level of skill. You actually have to time the jump right, have the bigger man. It's not every tip is not luck of the coin flip. It came up tails. This team gets the ball. So it is.
So
I can't wrap my head around over wanting having.
Yeah, I can't figure it out either.
I can't figure it out because it's the most. If anything, both teams shouldn't have to prove that their defenses are good or that their offenses are good enough to
they
score.
Should have to prove within the overtime period that both units
should prove that within the game.
In the 4 quarters of the game.
Yeah, but why do one? Yeah, but they both have to prove themselves within the 4 quarters. But why does only one have to prove themselves within the overtime period?
Because you've just had 4 quarters to do it.
And if you don't,
why is that 1 hour not enough? Why is that 15-minute quarter not enough to be able to prove that you're good enough? Why do
because one team gets an hour, the other team gets an hour and 5 minutes.
No, the other team had an hour also. If they don't do it in that hour, that's why does that have to do with me? If your team wasn't good enough to beat me and my team wasn't good enough to beat you, then what does it matter?
Well, then let's just do rock, paper, scissors to decide the game then at the end.
Yeah, but then nobody has to show any skill whatsoever. And that would be stupid.
It's just it's basically let's say, what if your team had the ball first and then they scored a touchdown? Are you still that willing to be okay, I want to see if they get a chance to score on us?
If you can score a touchdown on us, the game should keep going. Absolutely. I will say that right now. That's the beauty of college football rules. If you get the ball first in college football and you score a touchdown, then your defense has to come on the field and prove that they are just as good as your offense. That's the one thing about college football that I love.
And then if Penn State happens,
it's so much more fair.
It's just if you have to go to overtime, I mean something went wrong. And if your defense doesn't pull through, then you just deserve to lose. Your defense just didn't do enough, and that's just how it works.
And here's the thing. They've made it a much better game than what it used to be. Ooh, you put in the wrong section.
Not in overlay?
It should have gone in the overlays, but that should have been a transparent background. Did you save it because it's saved as a PNG with a transparent background, so it should have gone right over. But anyway,
email it to me then. It might save better that way.
In overtime rules, they used to just go first score wins the game, and that's not fair.
Very awful.
Yeah, that's not fair. This I don't understand what's not fair about this. I can't wrap my head around. I think this is probably the most fair that it could be. I genuinely don't understand how it could be unfair. Because you've proven you're proving yourself. You had 4 quarters to prove yourself. After that, whatever happens in overtime happens. You have a chance. If you can stop them from scoring a touchdown, you have a chance. If your defense did not hold up and they gave up a touchdown, too bad.
All right. Let me put it this way.
This man interject.
So I've heard both sides, and I agree with both sides. And here's why. I don't like the new overtime stuff. I agree. It's left to chance to determine who wins. But I agree.
It's not chance, though. I don't. It's not chance to decide who wins. It's a chance to decide who has offense first. But that still relies on the other team's defense to be good enough to stop them.
Which I was about to say.
Chance.
That's what I was about to say. If you did not play well that whole game and you go to overtime, it's your fault for being in overtime. I just don't like the rules that are in overtime currently. I think it's kind of fair, but I think each team should still get a chance to have their offense on the field. That's the only
Let's
thing.
put it this way. You know what? Let's bring all of college football rules to the pros. Let's make every catch in the NFL 1 foot also. No.
Oh, wait,
If you're
wait. I thought you just talked about overtime rules.
No. If we're just doing if we're gonna do overtime, we might as well keep them all. Might as well bring in targeting and make that a penalty in the NFL. We might as well allow 1 hand or 1 foot catches and instead of 2 feet. You're at the NFL. You're at a different.
We are allowed to argue that college football overtime rules, overtime format is better than every single rule that is in college football. Don't make me go off on my targeting rant.
In the NFL, they are professional athletes who are getting paid to play the sport, right?
Correct.
The rules should be different than it was in college when you were an amateur. When you were an amateur, sure, you might need those kids who are kids might need the opportunity to play both sides. But in the professionals, when you're getting paid millions of dollars to win a game in 4 quarters, if you can't do that in 4 quarters, that's your problem.
There's a reason that you're on that team playing defense, because they saw you as a potential fantastic defensive player, and that means you need to step up and play that defense that they want you to play. If they cannot play that defense on overtime, then they couldn't play that defense on overtime. And
why are you only saying that to the defensive unit of the team that loses the coin toss? Why don't you say that to the team of the defensive unit of the team that won the coin toss?
They don't need to prove themselves. They already did.
They already did.
No, they didn't. They're in the exact same position before the coin toss as the other team.
Okay,
I'm gonna mute all 3 of y'all. I'm gonna mute all 3 of y'all. Listen for a minute.
The other team's defense had a chance in the first 4 quarters. They've already proven themselves. They've already done it. They've already proved their defense was good enough.
In an overtime scenario where the teams are tied, both defenses have proved themselves to an equal amount of each other. You don't just get to say from a coin toss, oh, well, this defense proved itself better than this defense. They're freaking tied.
If one defense, okay.
This is baffling.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
This is baffling to me.
Okay, my last thing. I see what you mean, and I get it. But I don't feel like they need to prove themselves to be a good defense. If they happen to win the toss and they get the ball and play offense and they scored, they don't have to come on the field just to be like, oh, I'm a good defense. I need to show you what I can do. They like the offense pulled through, the defense on the other team didn't. Like, you don't need to be like, I don't have to play to show that I'm, you know what I mean? Like, they don't need to show that they're good because it's not their time. Now, let's say they get stopped and then they have to come through. Now they have to prove that they're good because they have to, because they're in the game, and now they have to force the other team from scoring.
We're probably not going to come to an agreement on this, but for the sake of Brad, who's probably over here dying, I will let you guys have the final word, and I'm gonna stop.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Y'all are not gonna agree. We could have figured that out 10 minutes ago. I have one last thing for you guys. Alvin, does this look good? First of all, before I move on.
Yeah, no, this is good.
This is actually really good.
Let me get back to your thingamabob here.
You can't see the screen.
I thought the screen seems the same as
the overlay I put on our episodes.
For the is that did he just links? Put that on? I thought it was the
no, it just got there.
One last segment to talk about aspect of champions. So listen, everybody likes debating old players, what made them good. Would they be better than another player if you put them up against each other? Now I have 3 different people. I have 3 different pairs that I have in here.
Quick question. Are we talking about college players or are we talking about professionals? Because
we talking about
because the rules are going to be different between the two. So I just want to make sure that we're aware.
For now,
That
pros.
is true.
For now,
but-
pros.
It is true.
And Luke
Because
just
it's
shook, but Luke just agreed that there should be different rules in college and pros. So
As
I
long
think
as
we can,
as long
I
as
think we
all
can
rules
agree.
are
I think
fair.
it is. Go on. Just keep going.
All right. Now we're going to move on.
You cannot stop me.
I told you I was
What?
going to mute
Out of
all
all
three of
people,
y'all.
I'm muted.
I'm gonna start out with an easy one. At least I think it's easy. Let's talk Tracy McGrady versus Vince Carter. Who was better? Why? Who would you pick?
Tracy McGrady was a better basketball player than Vince Carter.
Mhm.
He could.
I would take T-Mac too. I
the
mean,
one
Vince
thing
was a
that he
highlight
has-
reel in and of himself, but I would take T-Mac even just based purely on his longevity.
Right.
No,
I'll
T-Mac
go
actually. T-Mac's longevity was the problem. He couldn't stay
Because
healthy.
he's injured so much.
Vince Carter played until he was like 43.
Yes.
T-Mac could not play
I feel
nearly
like
as long.
Vince Carter. I thought it was wasn't Vince
No.
Carter the one always injured?
No, Vince
No.
Carter.
No, he's the one who
Vince
lasted.
Carter
Oh, okay.
has been played in the NFL, in the NBA for forever.
Vince Carter playing in the NFL.
Imagine. Tracy McGrady was plagued by injury for his entire career, which is why I think he would have gone down as one of the best basketball players to ever play the game had he not been injured, because he was a pure scorer at the rack. He could shoot. He could do a little bit of everything. So T-Mac definitely has the edge there, although they're both great players and both carried their teams for as much as they could. But I'm taking T-Mac.
All right. I respect that. Anybody else want to weigh in? Who would you pick?
I didn't get my choice.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I'm saying anybody else weigh in?
Yes. T-Mac.
Absolutely.
That's it.
I'll take T-Mac
Because,
too.
yeah, like Vince Carter's known for dunking. T-Mac, you know about that Rockets incident where he scored like 13 in a couple of seconds. Like, he's obviously able to
Yeah,
score a lot. And Vince
13
Carter's
points, I
just
think,
like,
in 30
"Oh,
seconds.
I'm a dunker. I'm one of the greatest dunkers of all time. Cool. I mean, it is cool, but you know.
I thought of, obviously I'm going to take T-Mac because Vince Carter was a good player, but really all he was known for was dunking, and that's about it. T-Mac was an all-around scorer, and I liked T-Mac, especially Magic T-Mac was something else. So let's. I don't know if we're going to get banned for using this. Could we use What If? I really like the Marvel show What If, but could we do like a sports What If?
Maybe you could do like Imagine.
Corny, but I'll take it.
I'm sure we can do what if. Like it's a general type thing. It's not an exact Marvel what if. It was a thing before the Marvel thing, so I'm sure.
I'm not sure Marvel gets to trademark the two words "what if."
It's Disney. They can trademark whatever they want.
It's true.
They could trademark this show and be like,
They could,
"That's mine, I don't know."
they could copyright my first name, and it's a very unique first name. So
Literally, yeah, I'll pay you 15 mil for that name.
and I'm gonna give it up. I'm gonna change my name tomorrow.
There you go.
I will change my name yesterday.
I was thinking, what if sports? What if AI or LeBron had stayed with football?
Oh my God, LeBron would have been.
It should be what could have been. That's the name of the segment. What could have been.
I like it. I'm gonna change it.
What could have been?
LeBron,
That's
LeBron
awesome.
would have been insane at that time.
I think it would have been the
tight end.
second coming of Megatron.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, imagine him
AI
as a wide receiver.
AI's ceiling would have been like a Darren Sproles type player because he's small. But
I think LeBron could have been probably Megatron. It would have been because then he's a tight end. It would be like Tony Gonzalez, but like so much faster.
Antonio Gates, but with wheels. He'd be like a Darren Waller.
Yeah,
Huge and fast.
Or like
I
Kyle
agree with
Pitts right now. Kyle Pitts.
That's
Jesus
true.
Christ.
Well, Kyle Pitts is a freak of nature, so yeah, maybe that's probably a better.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts in a few years.
I mean, shit.
That's
it
what
could be
LeBron
like DK Metcalf
would
is
have been.
big ass, but a tight end. And DK Metcalf is fast. And
yeah.
big. So it's just like
Yeah.
basically. So yeah, it's not. He would have succeeded in the NFL as well.
I think he would have.
For sure.
Absolutely.
When you're that kind of athletic freak of nature that LeBron is, then it's like basically put him up with any sport outside of maybe baseball, where athleticism isn't as needed unless maybe you're like in the outfield or the infield or something like that. But yeah, no, he could have done quite a few things.
I feel like AI almost could have been like a Deshaun Jackson kind of guy.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
Small. He's too small.
It's true.
Well, I mean, 6 foot is not small for a football player.
What'd you say,
No,
Shane?
it's not, because we think that football players are like tall but small, but like Aaron Donald is huge, and he's the same height as like Trey Young or something like that.
I guess you have a point because Deshaun Jackson's only 5'10", so
yeah, like for a football player, like the quarterbacks just happen to be like 6, humongous, but like Aaron Donald, he's huge. You'd think he'd be taller, but he's only like the same height as like a small point guard in the NBA.
Right.
I was surprised by that, which is crazy, but like, yeah. So like,
yeah, no.
it just depends.
The thing is, in football, unless you're like a wide receiver or a cornerback or a quarterback, height is not as necessary as it is in basketball. You can be 5'11", 5'10", even 5'9", and if you're like a running back or you're a like an offensive lineman, you probably won't be that small if you're an offensive lineman. But even
Obviously,
if you're like linebacker,
Aaron Donald was only 6'1".
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's what.
Yeah, so you do not need to be tall. You just need to be hulky.
And probably be better off being.
And you need to be fast, especially if you're at a skill position.
Yeah. It'd probably be better being tall for being a quarterback. I mean, like, Kyler Murray's, like, doing very well being short and a quarterback. But, like, I just feel like it's probably better for view and stuff like that. But I feel like AI as a possible cornerback or even a running back, but like probably a quarterback. I think he would be pretty nasty as a cornerback. Like, I don't know why, but that's the first thing that just came up. Like AI being Jalen Ramsey. Like, he could have been weird. That was it just kind of like it just makes sense for some reason. Usually everyone always thinks of like you don't think of LeBron being a middle linebacker, although he probably could have been. That's not the first thing you think of.
Imagine LeBron coming full steam at you.
Oh
That's terrifying.
I'm terrified.
I'm good.
I don't need that in my life.
That's 2 of them, right? What's the third one?
That was I only had 2.
Oh, okay. I thought you
said 3.
Yeah. 3.
Then you must have lied to us. Yeah, you said
I think you were looking at Aspect of Champions.
I had 3 for Aspect of Champions. Do you want me to go back and do some of those? I just wrote 3 for whatever.
What's the difference?
I can't. Well,
this was the what could have been.
Yeah.
But what was Aspects of Champions?
Comparing old players.
So we just looked at those 2?
T-Mac versus
just those 2. Yep. I have Shaquille O'Neal versus David Robinson.
Shaq.
David, don't get me wrong. David Robinson was an absolute monster center, but Shaq
is a different breed. It's Shaq.
I know. I
Shaq.
wrote Shaq, and I'm like, I don't even know who to put up against Shaq. Like,
the only guy you put there is Will Chamberlain or Hakeem Olajuwon.
And he was still probably like because Will was playing. We're talking about Michael Jordan.
Will was playing with people that look like me.
Will was because we're talking about Michael Jordan playing against ice cream truck drivers, but like Will was playing versus gym teachers. Will
Chamberlain was playing against the Jocks of all trades and AfroLatinos. The five of us were the starting lineup opposite Will Chamberlain.
Bro, he's playing against the YMCA men's league, right? Like at that time, like it was just like they go to a 9 to 5, and then afterwards they're like, "Oh, I gotta play my basketball game against Wilt." Like that's just what it was.
All right. That one's easy. I'll give you one more. Jerry Rice versus Randy Moss.
Oh.
That's hard.
I saved the best for last. All right.
That is very hard.
I'll go first. I'll tell you who I'm going to take and why. I'll take Randy Moss because Randy Moss did what Jerry Rice did for longer. And if you look at who Jerry Rice played against, it's like Michael Jordan playing against what'd you say, Channy?
Ice cream truck drivers.
Yeah. Like Jerry Rice was good, but Jerry Rice didn't play anybody hard. Randy Moss, on the other hand, was all over people. Like
I might have to agree with you.
It's this close, but I would take Randy Moss.
I'm probably gonna take Randy Moss because I don't know enough about Jerry Rice in order to like have any thought. But I just know Randy Moss was an absolute
Something else. Yeah.
monster at wide receiver. You literally got you know how Kobe was so good that now you shoot something in the trash can and you yell Kobe.
Yeah.
Now with Randy Moss, if you catch it over somebody, you got Moss.
You Moss. Yeah.
It's this thing.
Yep.
Like that's how good he was.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with all of that.
Alvin, you real quiet.
He's looking at stats right now. That's why. This is Alvin. This is his stats looking. Let me see which one I think is.
It's very true.
No,
it's very true.
I had to assess Brad's Brad's analysis that he wasn't playing against anybody. He was playing against ice cream truck drivers. Jerry Rice played against Rod Woodson. And primetime Deion Sanders.
It's like two out of like
Darryl Green, Lester Hayes, and Isaac Holt. These aren't exactly.
But I have no idea who the fuck.
These aren't exactly nobodies, and this is coming from Jerry Rice in an article where he chose his 5 toughest cornerbacks he ever played against, and 2 of them that he mentions are Rod Woodson and Deion Sanders. So it's not like he was playing a whole lot of nobodies.
Who are the toughest corners that Moss had to go up against?
And he also played Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey's all right.
Charles Woodson, and another name that you might know, Rondé Barber, Ronnie Lott. These aren't scrubs. But I'm going Jerry Rice. There's a reason he's the best wide receiver of all time.
Well, hold on. Who did Moss play against? That's what I want to know.
He had more yards too, right?
Jerry Rice has the most.
Jerry Rice has more yards.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you you're wrong, but like I get it. I'm just kidding. It's freaking Jerry Rice. Like I don't know enough. That's why I pick Randy because I'm kind of a newer age. But
man, Randy Moss says that he's the best receiver ever, with Terrell Owens being second and Jerry Rice being third or fourth.
Oh, he's
ouch!
He put Terrell Owens over Ray Rice or Jerry Rice. Ray Rice.
Ouch!
I mean, Terrell Owens. Now, as much as he was an animated personality on the field, that dude could ball like nobody's business.
I lied. I have 4. All right, T.O. or Chad Ochocinco.
Not T.O. That's not even the conversation.
I mean, no. I'm talking personality. Personality.
It's still T.O.
Really?
Ochocinco's a personality.
I like Ochocinco though.
Yeah, but it's T.O. T.O. pulled a marker out of his sock and signed the foot. Let's pull a cell phone out in the middle of a game. Like T.O. is a different breed. Ochocinco did everything that T.O. did, but after.
Yeah, ouch. Copycat.
He's kind of right, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. So it's fine.
But that's all I had. Anybody got anything?
I'm good.
I'm just looking at stats right now. Bleacher Report did a little matchup of like Randy Moss versus some of his contemporaries, and I'm telling you,
right before we end it or whatever we're doing, I just have one last thing. for you guys. It just came up because I saw it yesterday, I think it was, or 2 days ago. So it's a start, bench, or cut, right? And it's the NFL edition. And they're running backs. Start, bench, or cut. 2012, Adrian Peterson. 2019, Christian McCaffrey. Or 2020, Derrick Henry.
Ooh. You got to start Adrian Peterson, I would say. And then, really?
Start Derrick Henry.
Facts.
Bench AP to come off the bench and cut Christian McCaffrey.
Done.
I would cut Christian McCaffrey, but I would start AP and I would bench Derrick Henry.
Right, but AP was just a little tiny dude that could run around. Who in the world is going to tackle Derrick Henry?
Well, I mean, here's the thing: Derrick Henry is the power back that you want to keep in your back pocket. I want to see AP make people miss and make.
No, but Derrick Henry's not just power; he's the perfect combination of power and speed. That dude's got wheels.
Well, I don't doubt that he has
power. He's the power back and wheels that AP isn't.
Finesse that AP had.
Yes, he does. As of last week,
who are you?
He led all running backs by 200 yards. He is leading by more than 200 yards everybody else. And then yards after contact is still more than the next person up for most rushing yards. He is something else.
That's crazy.
Also,
I do. It's close.
I want to go back real quick, and Cheney, you have to answer this still. But this is a comparison again, the same matchup from Bleacher Report, Randy Moss and Jerry Rice. I just want to give you some numbers. Jerry Rice, 303 games, 1,549 yards receiving in the regular season. I don't know if this is just one season. Maybe this is their best statistical season. I don't know. Maybe this is total. I'm confused. Receptions was 1,000. So Jerry Rice in 303 games caught 22,895 yards and 197 touchdowns. Randy Moss only played 218 regular season games and only caught for 15,000. Now that's obviously not only, but he caught for 15,000 yards with 156 touchdowns. So Randy Moss caught 41 touchdowns less than Jerry Rice and 7,000 yards less in the regular season. In the postseason, Randy Moss only has 10 postseason touchdowns with less than 1,000 yards receiving in the postseason. Jerry Rice has 2,000 yards receiving and 22 touchdowns. Randy Moss doesn't come close.
Okay.
Question.
Okay.
Who was Randy Moss's quarterback?
Joe Montana, right?
That was Randy Moss?
Oh, I thought you said Jerry Rice.
No, who's Randy Moss's quarterback?
Well,
he had a couple. Tom Brady.
He had a couple. Tom Brady being one of them.
Oh, okay.
When he was on the Vikings, that was before Brett Favre was there.
Was it Cunningham?
Hold on.
Because I think Jerry Rice had Joe Montana throwing to him for all those times. So you have to take that into account a little bit when you're comparing the two. Because I don't think how long was Randy Moss partnered up with Tom Brady?
2007 to 2010.
Okay, that's
Randall
early
Cunningham
in TB12's career.
Here, I got you. I have your whole list. You want to know who Randy Moss played with? Randy Moss played with Brad Johnson, Randall Cunningham, Jeff George, Dante Culpepper, Kerry Collins, Tom Brady, Matt Cassell, Brett Favre, Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Vince Young, Aaron Brooks, and a bunch of weirdos.
I heard some competent quarterbacks.
I heard a couple competent quarterbacks.
Randall Cunningham, Tom Brady.
Dante Culpepper was good.
Dante Culpepper. But still.
Okay, wait. How many games? Both of them did they play?
Moss played in 100 more games, basically. I'm sorry, in 100 less, basically.
100 less?
Yeah. Essentially, it was a little.
Did they have the same?
It's only 100 games. He could have had more yards, but no, not really sure.
You're not getting, yeah, but you're not in 100 games. That's what? How many games or how many seasons is that? I mean, I guess that does kind of add up.
That's a
That's
lot.
a lot of
It's
seasons.
16 and then a couple of games, so it's probably like 20. If you get to Super Bowl in any of those, it's probably like 20 some games. If not, it's probably 16, 17 average a season. So it's a lot of seasons that he didn't play.
It's about
So he
five.
obviously played longer,
It's about
you're
5
right.
more seasons. It's about 5 more seasons, but that's still 7,000 yards. Most receivers are not getting 5,000 yards or 7,000 yards in 5 seasons.
No, well,
And
no, because
40
if he got
touchdowns.
those
That's
yards,
8 touchdowns a year. I mean, that's doable. But
if he got those yards while he was playing, and he had 100 like 100 games that he didn't play, that's at least 5 seasons. He's probably not getting that many yards after that because he obviously stopped at one point. That was because that's all he had. So he's probably not Randy Moss in those 5 seasons if he would have kept playing. So it probably would not have reached. But you never know, honestly. This man came.
yeah,
Now that I know a little bit more of J. Rice, I'll go with Randy Moss.
I might have to switch my pick and go with Jerry Rice after all of that.
he was a dog.
But then again, you have to take into account being able to play for most of your career with Joe Montana. There's something to be said for that.
And just ignore the stickum also, but that's besides the point. That's a whole different conversation.
He was playing with Joe Montana, and then him being Joe Montana's number one pick, choice.
I mean, Randy Moss is everyone's first pick.
That's true.
Yeah,
but Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. So I'll still go with Randy Moss. Yeah.
So anyway, NFL has better overtime rules than college, and we should stick with the NFL rules. And
all right, I really appreciate you guys for coming.
Go ahead, Brad. Close us out.
Thank you all for being here for our first episode of Power Play. We're going to keep bringing you some jazzed information every week. I don't know when we're going to post. It might be different for both of our channels, but be sure to like and subscribe for Jocks of All Trades all up here and for AfroLatinos down here for extra content if you liked what you heard today. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
See you.